How is everyone doing? Jesse here again from Balanced Interactions. Before I continue onto the topic, if there's anything you'd like to ask me, I'm going to leave an email in the description below. You can contact me there, or you can leave a comment on this video and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. The topic of today's video is going to be how to get an ex back. I'm just going to go through the basics of it. I might make an in-depth video in the future, but for now we're just going through the basics so you can understand how this all works and what to do in such a situation where someone has decided that they no longer want to be with you. Longing for an ex-partner can be one of the worst feelings in the world, especially if you weren't the one to end the relationship and were still in love with this person. We've all been in that situation before, and it's really just a horrible feeling. You feel desperate, you feel depressed, you can't eat, you can't sleep, you can't concentrate on your work. It can really feel like you're dying at times. But as always, there is some good news, and not all hope is completely lost. I'm not going to lie to you and say every single time, but you can definitely get this person back. But there's a few things you must do in order for it to happen. But just quickly before we continue on, if there was any sorts of abuse, whether it was physical, emotionally, or mentally, you and this person should probably not get back together. And if it was you dishing out the abuse, you definitely need to get some help before you enter into another relationship. Alright, with that aside, let's start off with what to do from the very start. Whether you were blindsided by the breakup or were expecting it for a while, the first thing you must do is nothing. This may seem fairly underwhelming, but it is very important that you do not beg, you do not plead, do not guilt the other person into staying. This is extremely important. And trust me, I understand all too well. It can be very tempting to beg and plead for this person to stay because you're feeling desperate and you're scared, but this really won't help your cause. If anything, it will reaffirm with the person that they made the right choice, because the reality is, if the relationship was at one stage really good, it's just as hard on them. Someone doesn't just instantly decide that they no longer want part of the relationship. It really doesn't work like that. The choice is very difficult for them too. They don't know if they're doing the right thing, and they were probably thinking about it for quite some time, whether they should do it or not. So try and stay calm and collected, and have the dignity and self-respect to walk away with your head up high. And of course, being broken up with is really, really sad, but it's not just sad for you, it's also sad for the person that's doing the breaking up. So yes, crying and being sad and emotional at the start is completely fine and expected. But if you're constantly trying to beg and plead and guilt this person to come back, that is definitely not fine, and you should stop that immediately. So as I said, walk away with your dignity and your head up high. Walk away and mean it. So what do you do when they break up with you then? Whether it's through a message, a phone call, or in person, I always recommend saying something along the lines of, "Okay, though I don't agree and I believe you're making the wrong choice, I respect your decision. If you change your mind, let me know." And that's it. Leave it at that. No more contacting this person. It's simple, yet effective. Let's quickly talk about why something like this is so effective. You see, your ex was definitely expecting you to beg, plead, cry, and moan, because the reality is, it's what most people would do. This in most cases will actually make them think as to why you took it so well, and maybe they really did make the wrong choice. It essentially takes away their power of being in control, because the fact is, the person who did the breaking up is the one who is in control. But by saying and doing something like this as a response, gives you most of the control and power, taking it from their hands. You've also left it open at the end. So basically saying, hey, if you change your mind, let me know, leaves communication open for the future. So if they do decide to contact you later on, they can do so without any worries. All right, now that that's out of the way, what's next? Well, exactly the same thing as step one. Do nothing. No phone calls, no texts, no social media likes, no commenting on photos or status updates, nothing. You are completely gone from their lives. This is crucial. Remember, it was them who decided to end things with you. You are going to try your hardest to move on as fast as possible. Many dating experts would have you adhere to something like a 30-day no contact rule, or have you write up a handwritten letter. This is the worst advice you could follow. Do not follow this advice. I mean it. Do not follow it. No contact means exactly that. No contact. You have to completely remove this person from your life, because this is the perfect time to start working on yourself and improving yourself as a person. And not because you want to impress your ex, but because you want to genuinely improve yourself. Whether it's picking up a new hobby, going to the gym and getting fit, finally working towards that work promotion, or working towards a new career. Whatever it may be, it's the perfect time to start working on you. And in turn, doing these things will really help you feel a lot better a lot sooner. So let's quickly go over the reasons why it's so important not to contact this person after they've initiated a breakup. Let's just start off with, it just simply will not work. Remember, this person has decided they no longer want to share their life with you for whatever reason that may be. In that moment, anything you do or say to this person will only come across as an attempt to try and get them back. Even if you're not begging or pleading, if you're messaging them constantly or trying to call them, it'll just come off as you haven't really accepted the breakup and you can't move on. While that may be the case, that you are struggling to move on, as many people would, you still don't want to push that onto them. And yeah, they may feel sad and guilty at first, but eventually they will get annoyed and feel like they did make the right choice after all, especially if you've been begging and pleading a lot. Another reason is they may really feel like you don't respect their decision. Can you imagine, just for one moment, if you broke up with someone, for whatever reason it may be, and they won't leave you alone? It would become bothersome, and you would eventually just see them as an annoyance more than anything else. You really don't want to be seen as that person, and that's why it's so important not to contact them at all. In turn, get them thinking about you, wondering what you're doing, who you're with, if you've really moved on that easily. Maybe you're different now and you do understand why things ended. Even if you're a slobbering mess, which if you are, it's understandable, they don't need to know that. And that is why walking away with your head up high is such a powerful position to be in. You're now essentially a ghost to them, and you're going to stay that way until they decide to reach out to you. Alright, so the question that is now more than likely on your mind is, what if they don't reach out to me? And of course, that is definitely possible. There is no guarantees in life. But if you follow what has been said, chances are they will be back. And even if you have begged and pleaded, that still doesn't mean it's a lost cause. As long as you've adjusted your attitude and stopped with the needy behavior, they may still come back. The human mind is a funny thing. We tend to forget the negative and only think about the positive as time goes on. So even if the breakup was fairly messy, that will mostly all be gone and only the positive memories will remain. So you have to wait until they reach out to you. No matter if it's 1 week, 1 month, 6 months, 1 year, you have to wait and be working on yourself. So if or when they do come back, you're ready. And when they do reach out to you eventually, it'll probably be through a text message or a phone call. And it will more than likely be something very casual. It may even confuse you as to how casual it actually is. It may be something as simple as, hey, how have you been? Or, hey, just watched so-and-so movie and it reminded me of so-and-so time. And once this happens, keep the conversation very light and set a date to meet up. Do not bring up the past relationship. If your ex wants to bring it up, then that's fine, I guess, but keep it light and very civil. Remember, what you're trying to do here is essentially start a new relationship. You don't want to reignite the old relationship because that one did not work. Eventually, once you're in a relationship again, it's fine to talk about the past. But until then, try not to bring it up. At least not the negative memories. And remember, even in the worst case scenario, if this person decides that they really don't want anything to do with you, a lot can be learnt from a painful breakup. It's the perfect time to channel that negative, painful energy and really build yourself up as a person. But that's a topic for another time. And for those of you struggling at the moment, I give my absolute best wishes and sympathies, as I know the feeling all too well, and it is absolutely horrible. Keep your head up high, work on yourself, and remember, no matter what happens, you'll be fine. If you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, as I release regular content. If there's anything you'd like to ask me, I'm going to leave an email in the description below, or you can leave a comment on this video and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys in my next video.